fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Headland D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. We're your co-hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis. Back in the sound room, our good buddies TK and Heavy D are back there. We're going to be talking to them a little bit later in the show. And Ken, we're going to be talking to some coaches a little bit later in the show. And you know, to be a high school coach in this area, it's kind of like being a host on Fish Report Live. It's not the most lucrative thing, but you really got to love what you do, don't you?
That's for sure, Craig. We've had a lot of coaches on our show, but one coach we have not had, one very successful coach that we have not had in our area, Craig, is the head basketball coach of the boys basketball team over at Minster, and Coach Mike Lee. Coach Lee racked up his 299th career victory, Craig, just last weekend, a big win over the Versailles Tigers. Really looking forward to talking some Wildcat basketball and Coach Lee. And then, Craig, we're going to go back to the Shelby County League, talk to the Fairlawn head boys basketball coach, and that would be Justin Tidwell. Justin's in his third year at Fairlawn. He's done an excellent job with that program. He's got a very solid team once again this year. And we'll talk to him about his upcoming first-round matchup in Ohio's premier sectional basketball tournament at Pickwa's Garbary Gymnasium against the Bockens Trojans.
Yeah, I think the last time we talked to Coach Tidwell was 3 years ago on this show when he first took that job at Fairlawn. So looking forward to catching up with him and seeing how he's been doing with that program over there. But before we get to all that, Ken, just like we do every week, we have a weekly trivia question. And tonight, I guess you're going to ask me a basketball question again.
Basketball question it is, Craig, and it's Minster basketball, Minster boys basketball to be specific. And we're going to go back to 2005 when Coach Lee brought his Minster Wildcats to the Final Four in the Division IV state basketball tournament in Columbus, Craig. Who defeated the Minster Wildcats in a double overtime game in 2005 in the semifinals? Double overtime. Was it Columbus Afrocentric, Cleveland Lutheran East, Holgate, or Ottoville?
Okay, well, those are some good choices. I think I got a pretty good idea of the answer on that one, and that's because I had a cousin that played for Minster at the time, but we'll see if I'm right or not. But if the Fish Report Live viewers out there can help me out, if you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page, you can scroll down, check out our trivia question there on the Fish Report Live page. Give us your answer, and you can check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco Cable TV Channel 3, we will give you those results at the end of the show. All right, Ken, let's get things started. Talking some boys basketball, and down here in the Southwest, we're getting ready for the tournament to start, of course. But up in the Northwest, or Macland, I'll call it, they're still finishing up on the regular season. They got a game or two left to play up there. So let's check out the MAC standings right now and see if they got that thing decided up there yet.
Not quite settled yet, Craig. As a matter of fact, we got a big weekend left in the MAC boys basketball. St. Henry Redskins, Craig, sitting on 8-0. Marion Local just a game back at 6-2. And Coldwater, Craig, they'll be trying to play spoiler. They're sitting at 6-2. They've had a great year in the MAC. St. Henry will travel to the Palace at Coldwater and take on the Cavaliers in what will be a very entertaining basketball game on Friday night. Marion Local, Craig, they actually travel to Fort Recovery. I do not anticipate the Flyers having a whole lot of trouble with the Indians over there. So big game for St. Henry. Coach Eric Rosenbeck trying to wrap up the outright MAC championship, Craig, but it's not going to be easy as the Cavaliers will have a lot waiting for him.
All right, well, should be a couple games to watch there on Friday. And speaking of those Flyers, Ken, we actually had an opportunity to watch them on Saturday night. Didn't quite come out the way we wanted with our Russia Raiders, but what are your impressions on the Flyers on Saturday night?
Well, Craig, they're tall, they're long, and they're athletic. And, Russia played them very well. Russia's also an excellent basketball team. You'll see Jordan Garrity knocking down a three-pointer right there for the Raiders. But, Russia fell behind about 5 to 7, 8, 10 points and just couldn't quite get over the hump. They had chances to cut the lead to 2 or 3 points several times. But Marion Local, very good basketball team, take nothing away from them. But again, I think Russia can play with just about anybody, or they can play with anybody in the state of Ohio. A lot of good D4 teams around in this area, Craig, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, like you said, if we see those Marion local Flyers next, it's going to be in the regional finals. So hopefully that's the Flyers and the Raiders can meet up for that.
That would be a good problem for both teams to have, Craig, if they play again, because it'll be in the regional finals.
All right, well, another MAC team that we had the opportunity to watch this year a little bit earlier in the season was the Minster Wildcats, and they played a great game against the Raiders. Russia, of course, came out on top in that one, but like Marion Local, the Wildcats got a little bit of a late start, didn't actually start their season until December 20th, I believe, because of football, won another one of those state titles, another one of those MAC state titles. But, the Wildcats been a little bit streaky this year, Ken. At one time, I think they lost 4 games in a row. Then they've won 4 games in a row. Then they lost 4 games in a row. And like you mentioned at the top of the show, of course, their biggest victory, maybe of the season, came this past Friday against the Versailles Tigers, a Tigers team that I believe was state ranked at the time. They won that game convincingly, and at 65-58 was the final score on that, and that gave head coach Mike Lee his 299th win. He was actually going to go for 300 on Saturday night against Bradford. Of course, that game got snowed out and was rescheduled for Thursday night. But here to talk with us live about it right now is the head coach of the Wildcats, Mike Lee. Coach, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, well, listen, I just suggested that Versailles win last Friday night might have been the highlight of the season for you so far. I wanted your opinion on that, Coach. Would that be an accurate statement, or what does that win mean for your program?
Well, yeah, it's a definite accurate statement just because, we've been kind of treading water and looking for some consistency, especially this late in the year. And, we kind of addressed to our kids we needed a springboard, and, boy, it was a perfect opportunity to get that here heading into tournament play.
Coach, hi, this is Ken Francis. And, you're sitting at 299 career wins. Congratulations on a fantastic coaching career. You hoping to get number 300 against Bradford here later this week. But of those 299 wins, Coach, I'm sure there's a lot of them that really stick out in your mind. But give us one or two maybe that are more memorable for you.
Well, yeah, it's again that's a credit to the outstanding coaches that have been a part of this program throughout this entire tenure, and naturally the hundreds of players that have gone through the program. But certainly appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, naturally I can, with 22 years, you still remember. I'll never forget game number 1, which was, right out of the chute. There was a quirk in the schedule, so we opened with league play right down the road at Marion Local, and that was against, the legend Jack Albers. And, I found out from game 1 that, boy, you really had to have your act together going against that man. So, naturally, I still remember game 1, but, I would say the other memories, and not to slight any team or players along the way, but boy, we had some outstanding tournament wins back in the day. Just highlighting some of the ones that the Jackson Center win in the regional semis at Wright State back in I believe 97, 98, and then actually the 04-05 team that made it to Columbus, but that run was almost short-circuited in game number 1 when we were down 13 heading into the fourth quarter against New Knoxville.
Well, Coach, listen, hey, I want to ask you about one of your stars on that team, and that's Matthew Trushaw. He had a big double-double in your game last Friday against Versailles. I think he had 16 points, 13 rebounds, and I believe he's leading your Wildcats in both scoring and rebounding this season. Plus, he's a pretty good foul shooter. I think around 75% is what I read. Why has Matthew been so successful this season?
Well, first of all, he presents a lot of problems for teams defensively because he's one of those kids that he's about 6'4", 6'5". He's long-armed. He's got some athleticism, and he's just a tough matchup because he can shoot the ball well on the perimeter if teams back off of it. And then he's got just kind of I say unorthodox, and that's about as polite as I can get when he does make some moves to the hole, and he can do that a little bit off the dribble. So, and the biggest compliment to him is he's just a quality kid. And, again, he's, like you mentioned, he's been pretty consistent for us all year.
Coach, you'll be wrapping up the regular season after this weekend. Then you'll turn your thoughts to the tournament. You open up tournament play against Hardin Northern next Tuesday. The Northwest District is actually going to what they call the Super Sectional, similar to what a lot of other districts have went to. I know coaches up in that area have been wishing for this for many years, this new format. Explain how you feel this could be a benefit for your Wildcat team.
Well, the benefit is, and again, Ken, we've been working on this this process for a number of years, and I'm just overjoyed. I mean, it's not, not everybody. We've had some squabbles relative to, teams having to travel a little bit further, but I made the comment I'll drive to Mansfield on a Tuesday night if we need to, but instead of locking heads with the other teams in your league in a very small 5-6 team sectional, this gives teams the opportunity to, there's some choices, there's some decisions to be made, just like there is in the Southwest, the Northeast, and the Southeast districts across the state. So we're trying to get it a little bit more uniform, and we feel this is a step in the right direction.
Coach, what do your Wildcats need to improve upon to make a successful tournament run?
Well, I think at this stage, and again, we need to continue to build. And naturally, it's like I told our kids after Friday night, huge win. That's one win, but you have to keep things in perspective. And naturally, we just need to continue to build from there. And as long as we can continue to iron out those phases where we have 2, 3, 4 minute stretches and can't put the ball in the hole, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Hey, Coach, listen, I got one more question for you, and we'll let you go. Now, I imagine your kids are excited, your team's excited to get these last 2 regular season games in, get you your 300th win, hopefully, and then get started in tournament next week. But I know one group that's definitely going to be excited over there is your student section. And I'm not kidding you when I say this, but I look forward to the Russia Minster game every year, and that's just for one of the reasons is to watch your student section. Sometimes they're as entertaining as the game. And I want to know, what does that student section, that rowdy student section you have, does that have any effect on your players at all?
Well, I think that's, again, that's a credit to to our kids and naturally in small schools in Russia and everybody else around here. It's a credit to, those kids are coming out and being very, very supportive. But yes, I think, we've had some games this year where there's been a tremendous atmosphere. And I think, especially as you get closer to tournament play like everybody's headed to, it just, hopefully that gets your kids at a little bit more ease out on the floor.
Coach, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. We here at Fish Report would like to be the first to congratulate you on win number 300, even though you don't quite have it yet. But good luck to you on accomplishing that milestone, and especially good luck to the Wildcats down the tournament trail.
Hey, thanks, guys. I certainly appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach. All right, and that was the head coach of the Minster Wildcats, Mike Lee. Ken, like you said at the top of the show, first time we've had him on the show. Been looking to get him on the show for 4 seasons now. Glad it finally came to that.
That's for sure, Craig. And, excellent coach over there at Minster. He's done a fantastic job. So he's been there for 22 years, Craig, and, he's had some great teams over there at Minster. But like he mentioned, it's all about putting out good kids, and that's what he does over at Minster.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the first half of our show. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk some more boys basketball, including that interview with Fairlawn coach Justin Tidwell. Stay there. We'll be right back.
Well, I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to do? You got me acting a fool. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. I'm digging on you. What's poor boy to do? Got me black and blue. I'm digging on you. I've been watching from my window, and I just can't get my eyes off of you, girl. You don't know me,
Welcome back, everyone, to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking MAC regular season. Ken, now we're going to talk about what we're most excited about, and that is the Piqua sectional tournament. Let's get right to it and check out the brackets. Let's start with the Piqua Upper. What do we got?
Craig, Piqua Upper at Piqua's Garbage Gymnasium. Craig, look for the Russia Raiders. They play Houston and Bradford first 2 rounds. You know, Craig, tournament play, everybody starts out at 0-0, so Raiders are going to have to come out, be ready to play, but look for them to advance to the finals of the Piqua sectional upper bracket. Lower bracket there, Craig, or the lower portion of the upper bracket. Look at Triad and Mississinawa there. I think that's going to be a very interesting contest. Lehman will probably play the winner of that game in the semifinals. But, look for probably Lehman to get out of the bottom portion of that upper bracket.
All right, and let's check on the Piqua Lower.
Piqua Lower bracket, Craig, look for Fort Loramie to beat Ansonia and Mechanicsburg probably fairly easily. Jackson Center with a little bit tougher draw there, Craig, I feel. Those should get by Riverside with no problem. But, notice they've got the 9 seed where Loramie, as the lower seed, plays the 12. And then Jackson Center, the 2 seed, will have to play either the 6 or 7, and Fort Loramie gets the 11. So Fort Loramie definitely with the easier of the 2 draws between them and Jackson Center. But look for the Tigers and the Redskins to get to the finals there on Saturday night.
All right, well, that last game you mentioned, that Fairlawn-Botkins game, going to be a good one. I know we anticipate that being a good one. The number 6 versus the number 5 seed. 6 versus the number 7 seed. And the coach, of course, of the Fairlawn Jets is Justin Tidwell. We're happy to have him live on the phone right now. Coach Tidwell, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, listen, I believe the last time we had you on the show, I mentioned this at the top of the show tonight, was 3 years ago when you took over that Jets program. Since that time, Coach, I want to ask, what kind of things have you been successful at with building that program, and what kind of things are you still working on over there?
Well, I mean, for 3 years, 3 years that flew by on me here. I didn't realize it was 3 years, to tell you the truth. But, really, we've gotten better defensively over the last 3 years, and our work ethic has improved every year. You know, when we preach to the kids all the time about relentless effort, and you can kind of see that this year with the group of kids we have. You know, we're always fighting to the end of the game, and that's something to be proud of.
All right, well, one thing you've been very successful with, it seems like, is the development of your sophomore star over there, Nathan Lessing. Here's a kid, Coach, that really did well last year as a freshman. He's doing it again this year as a sophomore. I know night in, night out, he's going to get your opponent's best defender, and Nathan usually doesn't disappoint. So what kind of things is Nathan capable of the rest of this season and beyond for Fairlawn?
Nathan has the capability to for some great things at Fairlawn. The one thing that sticks out about him is just his work ethic and for love of the game. I mean, he's a kid that's always in the gym all the time, and that's hard to find nowadays with these younger kids. So, I mean, he has the possibility of doing some great things at Fairlawn and hopefully doing some great things after he graduates from Fairlawn.
Coach, hi, this is Ken Francis. Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming tournament game. Your first-round matchup, very interesting against the Botkins Trojans. Be the third time you played them this year, of course. Anytime you play a Shelby County League foe in the Piqua tournament, you know, both teams, obviously there's not many secrets this time around. Both teams know each other very well. They actually beat you both times this year in very close games. What do the Jets need to do differently this time around?
Well, like you said, you know, you don't really want to play a county team right away in the Piqua tournament. So, you know, we had the unfortunate drawing Botkins, but, you know, like you said, they beat us the first 2 times. And we got to do a better job of handling their pressure defensively. They kind of get after us a little bit and we fold our tent. So we need to do a better job handling them and do a better job handling their defense. And we also have to do a better job defensively on them with ball pressure, denying their ball reversals. And we got to do a 10 times better job of defending the Bergman kid in the post. He really killed us the last 2 games. I think the first game he had 24 on us, and the second game he had 12 or 13 on us.
Coach, we talked about your sophomore guard, Nathan Lessing. I've seen him play several times. Great basketball player. But if you're going to be successful Saturday night, you're going to need some support. And I want to talk about some of your other kids here first, but mainly I would like to talk a little bit about senior Joey Cockcroft. I've seen Joey probably play longer than what you have. I've been following Joey since 7th grade, having a senior boy of my own. And I got to tell you this, Joey is a Raider killer. The guy absolutely plays phenomenal every time against Russia. He's done it since 7th grade. Are you aware of this, number one? And number two, what do you expect from Joey on Saturday night?
Actually, I'm well aware of this. I coached Joey when he was in 7th grade and 8th grade, then his sophomore, junior, and his senior year. So I've been around Joey for quite a while, and I knew he was the Raider killer. It's funny how Joey's he's hyped up to play Russia, and it's amazing. But usually night in, night out, Joey will give us 10+ points every night. It's just the way he can shoot threes, he can take you down inside and utilize his hook shot. So night in, night out, he can give us 10 points plus usually, and that's something we need Saturday night. And we also need our other kids to step up, like you talked about. We need Aaron, our shooter, to step up. Logan, Drew, and Nick. We need all those guys to contribute Saturday night for us to be successful.
Coach, a lot of times in the postseason, the referees tend to allow for a little bit more physical play, it seems like, than what they do during the regular season. Do you feel this to be true, or what is your experience with this? And do you expect more physical play come tournament time?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it seems like when we get to tournament, it's more of a physical play, and we've been preaching to our kids all week how it's going to be more physical. And like we tell our kids all the time, tournament's a new animal, so it's not going to be like the regular season. The referees are going to let us play, so they got to be ready for a fight.
Coach, I got one more question for you, and I'm going to go off subject here a little bit and remind our viewers that at one time you were a pretty good football player back in your day, and I'm not quite sure of the year, but I want to say maybe 2006, 2007, but you played over there at Anna, and I think you still own at least maybe one record over there for sure. I remember seeing a record not too long ago about maybe single-game receiving yards. But I want to ask you, their head coach over there, or your head coach back in the day, Brian Rioch, retired from coaching last November after 16 years. I want to ask you, as a former player, was that any surprise to you at all?
That was a big shock. I figured Coach Rioch would be a lifer, and he would be there coaching until he was old and could barely do it anymore. Like I said, he was a great coach, and he not only cared for you as a player, he wanted you to be successful as a player, but he also wanted you to be successful as a person. And I think that's one thing that made him a great coach. And the football program's definitely going to miss him. You
didn't have any aspirations of taking over that job over there, that head coaching job?
No, that is big shoes to fill over there. He did such a great job over there. I don't know if I could fill those shoes.
Justin, from Fish Report, we thank you for being on our show tonight. Good luck to the Jets Saturday night against Botkins and throughout your tournament run this year. And, again, you're doing a great job with that program. Keep up the hard work, and I'm sure you're getting a lot of respect from all the other area teams around here. So good luck to you guys.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, that was the head coach of the Fairlawn Jets, Justin Tidwell. And Ken, we've kind of covered the boys pretty well tonight. I don't want to forget about those girls. And for that, I want to go back to the sound room. Guys, can you help us out with the girls? Maybe recap. Last week we were talking a little Division III. Can we recap where we're at in Division III and Division IV right now?
Yeah, Craig, I'll take a shot at Division III. We'll throw up the brackets there. I think we'll start off with the Tip City. I think we got the upper. Yeah, Tip City upper. Our neighbors over there, Versailles, going up against Miami East, a team that they played earlier this year and beat by 8. So I would expect, all things being equal, that'll come out about the same, and they'll move on. I would look for them to run into Georgetown in the district final. Georgetown coming out of the Cincinnati area, a very strong team at 18-5. But overall, I think Versailles might even make it through that one and end up in that regional semifinal. We look at the other side, the Tip City lower. That's got Shelby County Anna Rockets in it. Anna is going up against West Liberty Salem. I see them going through that one pretty easy. West Liberty, though they have a good league record, didn't fare very well when they came this way. Got beat by Versailles by about 30-some points. So Anna should make it through West Liberty. However, they'll probably run into a very tough Madeira squad at 22-0 right now. That'll be a heck of a battle. They make it past that, and then it'll match up what we had talked about last week, which would be the Versailles-Anna matchup. But again, I think we talked about this last week. Anna definitely has a harder road trying to get through that Madeira squad. But should be some good games that way, and a couple more victories for some local teams before it's all done.
Yeah, we had Anna's Kayla Bensman on this show last week, and so hopefully we were good luck for her and getting her through the sectional. And Heavy D, we'll talk about the Sydney bracket. And I know one thing for sure, it's going to be an all Shelby County Athletic League finals on both the upper and lower, isn't it?
Yeah, the upper for Sydney started out pretty good. Ansonia and Mechanicsburg started out with a 1-point victory. That came down to a couple foul shots and a last-minute shot by Mechanicsburg superstar Dodane, and Jackson went on to beat Mechanicsburg by about 20 in the next game. So Russia had a couple easy victories. The Jackson Center game is gonna be a grudge match. This is they went 1-1 in the regular season. Russia took the first game by about 30. Went to Jackson for the second game, and Jackson got him by 10 there. So that looks to be a real good matchup in the upper. Looking at the lower, we've got Fort Laramie cruising on through to the finals. Just had a great game between Houston and Fairlawn. Super sophomore Audrey Francis had 20 points in the second half, finished with 27 in a comeback victory over the Houston Wildcats. Her Fairlawn Jets won 54-49. So in the lower bracket, we've got Fort Laramie and Fairlawn matching up at 150 at Sydney on Saturday. So that should be a good matchup also.
All right, so again, an all Shelby County League final, and I think the four of us will all be in Sydney on Saturday watching those games, and should be some good ones.
Absolutely.
Yep. Good report, guys. Thanks for that. And Ken, we got a couple minutes left here. Any other news in the wide world of sports?
Well, how about, Craig, we talk a little bowling. We talked bowling a few weeks ago to Russia coach Dale Alt, and the bowling sectionals were held actually yesterday, Craig. Russia belonging to the Southwest District, as well as Versailles, Fort Laramie, and the Raiders all advanced to the district bowling match, which is actually tomorrow. And Russia was led by Nick Colby, Trevor Albers, Cody Heaton, and Nick Bowman. Those four bowlers there did extremely well. Actually, Craig, Nick Colby finished third in the district, so bowled extremely well yesterday. And so looking forward to the Raiders seeing how they can do at the district level on tomorrow.
Not only is he a good discus thrower in track, he's also a good bowler as well.
Yeah,
huh?
I guess he gets that same hook going on that bowling ball and drops it right in the pocket there.
All right. Well, listen, that's about going to wrap it up for us tonight. I do have one more thing to get to, and that is that trivia question you asked me at the top of the show. Let's go through it again, and we'll have the guys in the sound room check our Fish Report telemetrics out.
All right, Craig, we talked to Coach Mike Lee. He's had a very successful career over there at the Minster High School. He took his 2005 Wildcats to the state Final Four. Who defeated that Minster team in 2005 state semifinals? Was it Columbus Afrocentric, Cleveland Lutheran East, Holgate, or Ottoville?
All right. Well, I think I got a pretty good idea what the answer is. Before I give it to you, though, we'll check with the guys back there. Guys, any help from the Fish Report viewers?
Yeah, it looks like an overwhelming vote for the Lutherans from Cleveland East.
All right. Well, listen, I had a cousin by the name of Jake Lutmer that played for the team back then. He was a point guard at the time, and if I remember correctly, I think it was Lutheran East as well, Ken, so that's my answer, Lutheran East.
Well, you the telemetric is right, Craig, and you are right as well. Lutheran East actually beat Minster. Interesting story here if I got just a second.
Sure.
But they beat Minster in double overtime. So Lutheran East went on to play in the state finals to Columbus Afrocentric. Columbus Afrocentric was loaded that year. They actually played beat Cleveland Lutheran East by 10 points or so in the state finals, but it was later determined that they had some ineligible players. So when you look on the official website of the OHSAA, the state champion that year is Cleveland Lutheran East, winning by a final score of 2-0 over Columbus Afrocentric.
Wow.
In what is the lowest scoring game in the history of OHSAA basketball.
Well, that's something else there. I wonder if the Minster Wildcats think maybe they should be state runner-up then, or I don't know how that works exactly. Maybe third place at least.
That's right, and the fact that they got beaten double overtime by Lutheran East makes it even more so. But, yeah, so interesting story there that Afrocentric was actually ruled ineligible after their victory.
You're always learning something new on Fish Report Live every week.
That's right.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us tonight. I do want to say special thanks to our guests, coaches Mike Lee from Minster and Justin Tidwell from Fairlawn. Ken and I and the crew are all going to be back again next week with another great show. So until then, have a great rest of the week, everyone, and good night.
Hanging at the Fish Report. 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 For your latest news in high school bait, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report, hanging at the fish report.